Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Unbridled Equestrian Podcast. Oh, Tigger has lots to say today, but Tigger is here with Christa Veinotte, who is joining us from the East Coast, just outside of my hometown of Glasgow, Nova Scotia. Christa is just outside of Toronto, Nova Scotia. And Christa is the owner of Hestaband Tape, and she was here for an equine symposium that she was speaking at. And so I got the pleasure of snagging her for a quick little chat today. Now, she does have to get going, but I wanted to let you guys hear a little bit from her about the benefits of equine taping and some of the things that are unique to Hestaband in particular. So thanks for joining us, Christa. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is the first time I've been to the West Coast. I've only ever been as far as Alberta. So it's definitely very much an East-West meeting, but I'm really glad to be here. We have just such a short visit, and the people that I've met have been very lovely and just so excited. I think that the practitioners I've met here so far are really interested in learning more and, helping their horses more. Just fantastic, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I'm so glad that we could sneak in a visit. I really appreciate you carving out time in your schedule and for reaching out, because it's always wonderful to meet with other equine professionals. And we're going to do another episode. We've already decided talking about women in business and especially being an equine business and product development and all that fun stuff. Mm-hmm. But for today, maybe you could share a little bit about your inspiration for Hestaband, why you got started developing your own tape, and where it's gone from there.
Okay. Basically, for those of you that don't know, I'm an equine rehab specialist, and I have been practicing since 1999. And what happened essentially is that I was the first person trained in Canada to tape horses, actually. When I came back to work with the clients that I had, none of the tapes on the market would stick. Either that or they took a long time to prepare the surface area. And I was really busy at the time, and I just had a need to have something better, to have something that worked and stayed on and stuff like that. So I took a long time, about 7 years, just going through different manufacturers, asking questions. Can you make this? Can you make this fabric tighter? Can you make this adhesive stronger? It was truly just a game of, is it going to work? Is it not? Trial and error, and pushing the envelope more open, honestly, like just trying to figure out, can we make it a little bit better? Can we make it a little bit stronger? And so, yeah, I made it only for myself originally. Basically, what happened is I had finalized what's now called Hestaband Cotton, which is a really great tape. It's easy to use. You can kind of make a little bit of a mistake when you apply it and readjust it and fix it. So new tapers love that. And I made it in a 4-inch wide and a 2-inch. That was the primary tape that I had. But the other thing that started happening in my practice, I treat a lot of foal deformities. Unfortunately, when you're dealing with contractures or foals that have very severe ligament laxity, I needed a tape now that almost replaced or mimicked the ligament stability that the foals were missing. With Hestaband Cotton, you had to use a lot of it, right? To give that joint stability. And I went on another track where I started looking at a much less elastic fiber. And so it didn't stretch as much, so that it would support the joint easier. And I needed a much stronger adhesive. If we're going to put it on foals, I want them to be able to go slide in the pasture. Now it needed to have a water-resistant coating. It was all of these things that many manufacturers said it couldn't be done. What would happen is that the adhesive would bleed through, it wouldn't stick. There's a whole different component in how to manufacture the tape and how the tape backing goes on. And we learned a lot, obviously, in that process. And when I finalized what's now called Hestaband Satin, I made it in 3 very bright colors: fuchsia, green, and like almost like a neon green, and a bright orange. And that was so the owners could see the foals in the field, right? So they could see if the application was still on, if they were having any issues with it at all, that they could see it that far away.
It's amazing. It's so brilliant, because tape coming off and having issues is so common, especially here on the West Coast where things are wet, but even on the East Coast and really throughout Canada where the horses generally are fuzzy. Yeah. Fuzzy and or dirty.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so my adhesives were made to actually go on hair that's a little bit dirty. I didn't have time to take 30 minutes to do a surface preparation when I was such a busy therapist. I was treating 150 horses a month, driving 5,000 kilometers every month to all the different barns around the East Coast. It is a little bit different in that you don't have to do a lot of surface prep, and it will repel anything like that coats the shaft of the hair. Machine and Magic Cowboy and all that other stuff. So it is quite a bit different than anything that's on the market. But again, it was made for a purpose because I needed it as a therapist. And then the other tape, because I specialize in lymphatic drainage therapy, is a tape called Hestaband Lymph. And what that does is it's magic. It literally evacuates fluid and edema out of an area really, really quickly. That was a tough tape to make as well because you needed to have it really elastic. So it's stretched, not for us to put it on, but to accommodate for the lymphedema in a limb, right? If you overstretch it, it'll pop off. But when you have the fluid volume change as the edema is going out of the limb, the tape will recoil back to the new shape of the wag.
Amazing.
Yeah, yeah. It's but again, that took a long time to kind of make and figure out what adhesive I needed and what I didn't. I'm the only company worldwide to have 3 tapes with 2 different adhesives and 3 very different uses for them. And it is a complete therapeutic package, because of what I did.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. And then I just get so excited having conversations like this and meeting another entrepreneur like yourself. Because I think one of the hardest things in this industry is things tend to get very stagnant and set in kind of, this is how things are done. This is what's possible. This is what's not possible. Kind of much like what I did when I started the Boss, where I was like, this is ridiculous. Saddles don't need to cost $8,000 to $10,000. They can absolutely be adjustable. They can fit well, and they can look nice and be comfortable for the rider. Like all of these things that we've kind of been told aren't possible are all the things that we've gotten used to as like, this is the norm and this is the only way.
Yeah.
It's not true. It's just that nobody's decided to like test that yet.
Yeah.
And I love the determination that it sounds like you had going through like, no, okay, this adhesive doesn't work. This bleeds through. And probably hearing no hundreds of times from different manufacturers who said it couldn't be done.
Yeah.
But in fact, you were determined to find a way to help the horses that you were working with and to fix the issues, which are all quite different, like edema versus limb stabilization and having to act, or joint stabilization versus standard taping. That's incredible. Yeah. And so for anybody listening, if they are not an equine professional, but maybe the horse is struggling in some way or another, what are some of the kind of primary causes that somebody might see as an owner or rider that could indicate their horse might benefit from taping?
Oh, we teach a really great horse owner, rider, trainer, beginner course. Ooh. Yeah, and it's a really fun course. I originally developed it for Dalhousie University, actually. Yeah.
University.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. It's cool.
Yeah, so I developed it for them in 2018, actually. They wanted an equestrian course, and it's a way to introduce taping to, horse owners and riders and trainers that don't necessarily have a huge anatomy background, or they don't maybe understand the mechanics behind kinesiology taping. It's a super fun way to learn your basic cuts and what it can treat or, to tape. They wouldn't necessarily be treating anything because they're not a therapist, but they certainly can understand and apply the tape in a way that relieves discomfort, increases circulation. And they can walk away after the 2 days with it being very confident and comfortable in that skill set. It doesn't include a lot of leg applications because that requires a true study of the structures, right? But there's a lot of things, a lot of muscle applications that they can do. They do some stabilization. Like it's a great course to help them start. But there's also a fair amount of online courses that are really good. People are they're a little exhausted with Zoom meetings. I think we talked about that earlier, right? But I'm hoping also to do a webinar series now and start really. My focus for 2026 is a ton of education. It's time, it's ready. And that's what I'm actually doing here on the West Coast is that I did a 3-hour presentation with veterinarians and just explaining about how can kinesiology tape work in their practice, but also it's little things that they could give their owners to take home to tape their dog or their horse. It is a modality that, anybody can use with some training. Now, if you want to get into more advanced applications, then the training obviously becomes stricter and, there's more specific patterns and applications that you would do, but it is a very easy thing to learn. That being said, I started in 2013, I think. I had it in my hair. I had it on my shoes. Like it did not come easy to me. Really, truly. I just practiced every day, but it is definitely a skill set that anybody can learn to do safely.
Probably simple, but not easy. And that there's practice involved, like with anything. I mean, so many things can be simple in theory, but really any kind of mastery takes practice and some understanding of what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how often, so do you offer this course through your website for owners as well? Or is it only available through Dalhousie?
Oh, no, definitely through us. Yeah.
Okay.
Send me an email. And basically what's happening a lot of times now is that we'll have a group of people get together and say, hey, can you come out? And I do have several instructors around Canada that teach for me. Some of them have gone international to teach the course over there too. So there's lots of people that I have in my background that are really supportive and just wonderful people that are helping me, educate others, because I can't be everywhere all at once. So I'm very lucky to build a great team of practitioners and instructors. And we're only going to build from there. We're really going to come into like an advanced taping program. We're going to do taping for lymphatics. We're going to do a pro course. It's snowballing into something much bigger than I ever could have imagined. I was never supposed to sell it. It was never supposed to go anywhere. And now it's been used in over 38 countries.
That's incredible. And I love hearing success stories like that, because it shows there's such a need. There's such a need for products that perform better. And we feel it. We feel it as riders. We feel it as equine professionals. And to have created a solution that's been so readily adopted and accepted in 38 countries and by so many different professionals that specialize in various modalities, but are really keen to integrate the benefits of taping. I think that's wonderful and really speaks to what you've created as a company and as a product. It's amazing.
I will always say, though, that it was because of the other therapists that it went public. I have had such an amazing support system from therapists all around the world, from veterinarians and chiropractors and people like you that are like, let's talk, let's learn more about this modality. I cannot ever say that this is a one-person show, because it's all those tapers in the States and Brazil and Europe and Israel and Australia, like that truly have lifted me up and helped me get through all the tough times of learning how to become an entrepreneur. It's their belief in the tape and what the tape can do for their clients and patients that keeps me going. I'm just a solopreneur on the East Coast of Canada, and it's them that have taken it around the world, So I always am so grateful to have that support.
Yeah, that's incredible. It makes a huge difference, I think, for any business to grow. We need people to believe in it. We need people who are utilizing it and seeing how well it works. But it's also still a testament to your ingenuity and stick-to-itiveness in coming up with the product. And I know that it was initially just intended for personal use, but how cool that it's now taken on a life of its own. So I think that really all kind of started during COVID, that you were getting the product out there.
Yeah.
How did that happen initially?
So, I was a busy practitioner, and then COVID kind of, everything had shut down, and I never had any problem having stuff made, but there seemed to be a shortage of kinesiology tape at the time. So because I had such a big following on Facebook and Instagram, I had these therapists just message me and reach out and say, hey, what brand are you using? What kind of tape is that? And I didn't have an answer because it was no brand. It was just mine. I took out a $35 Facebook page or ad in the middle of COVID. And I said, hey, you want a tape that sticks? And it had a little video. And that's when I did a tape tester program, like a little beta program. And it went to 70 therapists in 10 countries in 2.5 weeks. Was the feedback from that people were like, this stuff's amazing. I really like it. We want to buy it now. And so I had to learn how to make it a little bit bigger batches and, how to get it out there and learn the Shopify store and stuff. Yeah, it launched November of 2020. So we just hit our 5th anniversary. Yay.
That's amazing. Because I feel like for any business to have to learn all of those elements of business and then be thriving at the 5-year mark is really, really remarkable. And again, just shows that what you've produced is so far above the average tape that's out there. Because I would say on average, the vast majority of tapes that I see are not sticking. I was really inspired and intrigued when I started learning about the Hestaband tapes. Because I was like, oh my gosh, tapes that actually stick on a dirty horse, on a fuzzy horse. Because that's what we're dealing with almost all the time with horses.
Yes.
You know, and if they're not dirty, it's that they're covered in show sheen or this, that, or the other thing. Like there's just always a reason that the tapes aren't sticking.
Yeah.
I always wonder how much that's impacting the benefit. If the tape is coming off partway through treatment, what's the impact of that?
Yeah. And the other thing is that, focusing on education, it's about because the adhesives are different. You don't need to do a lot of surface preparation, but at the same point in time, it's different in that it doesn't like alcohol. So don't surface prep. It won't adhere to anything that coats the shaft of the hair. So there's all little tiny nuances about Hestaband that people have to learn and understand. And oftentimes that's what happens is that they get the tape and they're like, oh, it won't stick. And it's because that they've overstretched it because that's what they were used to doing. Right?
Of course.
These fabric weaves are so much tighter and they recoil so much faster. You can't do that 70% stretch. You can't do that 45% stretch. It's different. It's a different mindset. And I think that's also what makes it really special because I designed it to do the work for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's a whole bunch of things that we really still need to always talk about because it is different. But Hestaband actually means horse tape in Icelandic. Yeah, so I wanted to name it after a breed that was very stoic and strong and determined. So that's where kind of that came into play.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, for the average rider person listening, also I want to talk more about the course because that's something I would love to coordinate for horse owners in this area.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got a practitioner from Calgary who comes and teaches for you. I know you mentioned that. We'll talk about that in a minute. For anybody listening that has no experience with taping, but they maybe utilize body workers, or even if they don't, what are some things that taping can help their horses with and some things that people might know like, oh, I'm struggling with that or my horse is struggling with that? What are some of the kind of more, I don't want to say basic, but maybe the more common problems that taping can help people address, like in their sport horses, for example?
Taping can be as complicated or as simple as it needs to be. What general horse owners will usually look for is average muscle soreness. They have a hard training lesson. The horse is going to be a little bit tender the next day. They will tape it between the training sessions. If they find that they're a little bit stiff on one side, maybe they will tape that. One of the biggest components is the junction between the lumbar spine and the sacrum. That area, no matter who it is, no matter what they do, no matter if they're jumpers or hunters or dressage horses or cattle cutting horses, that low back and pelvic area is really, really sore in almost every discipline. That's something really easy you could tape for. When you get into a little bit more complicated cases like lymphedema, that's something you'd want to have a trained practitioner for.
Absolutely.
But like anything like after, you'd want to be careful, like not doing it immediately after vaccinations and understanding the normal contraindications to body work and taping. But it can be something as simple as relaxation. Like trying to help the muscles relax so that your warm-up time is easier, that you have less stress in the saddle. There's a ton of things, really easy ones. And we talk that horse owners can do, but one of the things we always say, it's just a piece of tape, right? Like it's just a piece of tape that can't work. But when you see it and you feel the difference and you see the reaction of the horse, it's amazing. Because that just a piece of tape really is changing everything physiologically for the horse. And when it changes the tissue, there's a change in how that nervous system fires and how the horse reacts. Like we're finally learning about the actual science. And that was my first presentation this weekend, is that it was about the science and the evidence of kinesiology taping, because the industry realistically is very new, right? And we're just learning about how easy it is to apply a piece of tape and how great it will work. You can use it for swelling, for injuries, any sort of proprioceptive issues. If you have a horse that always wants to carry its pelvis to one side, you can tape to help balance that. And then you can get into really complicated stuff. Like what I treat is a lot of fold deformities, a lot of contractures, a lot of severe lymphatic clients where they have just massive amounts of edema in an area. So it can be as simple as you want to help relax your horse. You want to help increase circulation so they're not as sore. You want to help them lengthen that hamstring so they take the jump better. Yeah, it's really amazing.
That's so cool.
Mhm.
And even if you could touch on a little bit of the science behind it for anybody who is like you, because I think there's so much skepticism around things that we don't know or haven't experienced ourselves.
Mhm.
And I'm just a big believer in like a science-based approach because science trumps your opinion.
Yeah.
So like, I don't care if you believe it or you don't believe it. If there's science to support it, then we can take that as fact. So for anybody who might be like a little skeptical or struggling to understand, can you explain even just on a basic level how that works?
Yeah, for sure. So historically, what we do with horses is that we bandage, we hold everything tight, we squeeze everything together, we push things up and out of the leg, whatever it is, it's always compressing, right? And if you have a muscle that's sore, it's already going to be tight. If you have an area that's injured and swollen, there's inflammation, it's going to be tight. And what tape does, so it has your fabric on top and elastic or an adhesive component on the bottom. The tape sticks to the hair. What it does, it actually, because it has a little bit of a recoil in it, it lifts up. What that does is that actually creates what's called a decompression, that we're not holding all those things together. And when you actually look at a cross section of skin, there's always your pain receptors, your blood vessels, your nerves, everything like that is compressed into that tight area. When you have that decompression, that lifting action, circulation can come in, it can provide nutrients to the injured area, it can take the pressure off of those pain receptors and nerves. And that's when you see that change in the animal. That's the short version.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And it's funny because I always like to think, okay, if I know nothing about a modality, like how can I learn about it on the most basic level? But even there, I'm like, I'm learning so many things. I love that. And I feel like the coolest thing with horses is the learning never stops.
Yeah.
And certainly as a business owner, the learning never stops for me with developing my saddles. We were talking earlier about manufacturing and I'm like, oh, it's still constantly ongoing. There's always something that I'm like, we could improve that. That could be better. This could be stronger. That could be more affordable, more accessible, whatever it is, more available. Instead of waiting 8 months for a product to come in, can we find somebody who could do it in a more reasonable time frame? I just love learning all the bits and pieces.
One of the things that we're using Kinesiology tape now for is pre and post-op. This was a huge discussion at the convention, because if you can use tape to reduce inflammation, to reduce pain, the tissue is going to be healthier going into your surgery. If you have a healthier tissue going into surgery, are you going to have improved outcomes post-op? So then after you've been given the consent by your treating veterinarian, after they have the surgery, like kissing spines or whatever, you can apply the tape in a certain way to, again, help remove the inflammation, how to decrease pain, how to prevent that fascia from restricting again. We're really switching from, we're going to make the horse more comfortable to an actual therapeutic modality, right? So that's the big change too that we're seeing in the industry.
That's incredible. You had mentioned earlier something that I was like, oh, and I kind of saw that or I could see it, but I didn't fully understand the implications of it. And it was fascial tension. Limiting muscle development.
Yeah.
So we were talking about it in the context of atrophy in horses. And, obviously from a saddle fitting perspective, one of the things I see so commonly and that frustrates me is when I see really atrophied top lines and the various things that contribute to that. And then you mentioned the fascial tension can actually stop them from building muscle. Can you tell me how that works?
Fascia is very immobile and it doesn't stretch like muscle, right? Sometimes if you have a horse that was really, really fit and then got injured and it had to be on stall rest, the muscles basically shrink, the fascia pulls tight. And then when you go to take it back, the muscle tries to build faster than the fascia can stretch. And when you get a horse that's cold backed, that's exactly what's happening. You know this, right? You know this. So in the principles of rehab, you always have to lengthen before you strengthen. But if you don't treat that fascial layer, and people always say, well, round over their back, it's because that fascia is really, really tight and the muscles can't lengthen underneath it. So if you can apply a piece of tape in a certain way to rearrange that fascia, it's painless. They're not in any discomfort when it's applied. Then you can rearrange the fascia, then the muscle can lengthen underneath of it and you can build your top line.
Amazing. And I love, it sounds like it's such a powerful modality also because it can kind of be working around the clock. If we're talking about rearranging the fascial structure, for example, having something that has the capability to do that 24 hours a day when your horse is standing around, laying down, going riding, versus any treatments that we might be offering that are just sort of temporary. We might be getting the relief, but there's often multiple things at play, like, oh, then their saddle doesn't fit, so they're hobbling away from that, which can, again, tighten up and create more of that fascial restriction. I love that this is something that can work sort of more holistically and longer term to help the horse even when we're hands off.
Yeah.
I think that's
and you can use it with other modalities.
Yeah.
Right. Like I have one massage therapist, she tapes, if she finds a muscle that's really, really tight and very tender, she'll tape first and then work somewhere else in the body and come back to that. And the area already has increased circulation and the muscle's a little bit more relaxed and softer, then she can do her work, right? And then you can use it with, your lasers and PEMF and stuff like that. One practitioner had told me a couple of years ago that she actually uses the laser with the lymph, so she can tape and doesn't have to remove the application, and she can laser in between the holes in the tape. Just amazing stuff that people are doing with it now.
It's amazing. I can't wait to learn more about this. Again, we're going to have another conversation and dig into all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
But I know you have to go. I would really be interested in coordinating a course for horse owners here. And that one, horse owners, and I'm guessing technically anybody. So even if it's a body worker who has never done taping, like that could be a good intro.
Yes.
Okay. And what does that course structure look like? Because I would definitely love to get a group of people together and have.
Yeah. And I do have, like I said, I have instructors all over that, really honestly go to bat for me. I'm really lucky that way. So there's we have a couple people on the East Coast. We have a couple people in Central Canada and here in the West. There's always options. People think that they can't get a course in Manitoba. We'll make it happen. Like honestly, we have the group of people. We can do it. And we try to keep our classes very small. We honestly 10 to 15 people. Yeah. And so it's a very hands-on course. It's 2 days. And it's really, really fun. When people first come in and the tapes everywhere is flying in the barn and stuff. By the end of the second day, people are so confident. And so we take it right from the bare bones. Let's talk about the science behind it. And we're going to tell you how to do the certain cuts and why you would do it. We teach people not cookie cutter application. We teach you how to think about the taping and what you want to achieve and how you can apply those patterns and cuts to be successful. What's happening a lot of times now in the industry is that you got a sore back. This is how you tape, right?
Right.
I teach in that you have a sore back. What can you do in your toolbox now to apply to help that? So that's a little different. And the second day is really fun. You guys get broken up into groups and you actually do case studies of mine. You'll get a scenario of this horse was, pregnant and this is what I seen and this is what I saw. And now you have to tape for it. It's really amazing to see how in just 2 days, the tapers go, I don't have a clue to, okay, let's evaluate this. Let's see how we can tape. There's no real wrong answer because I've given you a skill set where you can choose what is right and appropriate for you and the horse at the time. So that is the most fun on the second day. Just to see how quickly all your neurons start firing, and that you can put the taping application together with a true real life scenario.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And as you're describing that, I mean, I can see you light up and I'm just like, oh, I can't wait to do this. Because I think that is one thing I see constantly is people get really limited in their way of thinking about a problem and therefore really limited in their way of addressing said problems. Oh, my horse has a sore back. Ergo, I must have a saddle fitting issue. Or you have a hoof angle issue, or you have a pelvic alignment issue, or you have this kind of issue or that kind of issue, or you have a gut health issue. And unfortunately, because we're often looking through such a narrow lens, we don't know all of the pieces that are involved. And we don't know all of the ways in which we could benefit or help them with the other pieces that are involved. And so I think we, as owners and riders, sometimes get into a bit of learned helplessness. So, they're just sore and that's that. Yeah. Versus I love empowering people and encouraging them to use their creative thinking, use their observation skills and get into, okay, these are the different pieces I'm seeing because chances are a sore back isn't just a sore back. Yeah. Right? It's like what else is going on in that picture? And the more holistically we can look at anything, but especially our horse's well-being and comfort, I think the better we are to the better we're able to set them up for
Yeah.
success.
The thing is, a roll of tape is like very inexpensive.
Yeah.
When you're learning, if you make a mistake, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing. You're in my thousands and thousands of taping. I've only had one horse have an adverse reaction, and that was a misdiagnosed spiral fracture.
Oh,
The vet she had gotten kicked through the fence. The vet had been out, x-rayed. It was fine that they seen at the time. They called me out to tape. I put just a strip on the gasket, and the mare violently was trying to get it off. I got the tape off, and I was like, okay, let's call the vet back in.
Mm-hmm.
And when they did the second x-ray at the different angle, then the spiral fracture showed up. People can comfortably tape and know that it's safe if they're educated,
yes.
right? We talk a lot about contraindications in the course because, you know, you want to know how to put it on, but you also need to know when not to.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really inexpensive, you know, and if it works a little tiny bit, then great.
Yeah.
If it works in between when your body worker's coming, or maybe your saddle fitter isn't coming back for another month.
Absolutely.
Like, there's all these little things that you can do to make your horse more comfortable.
Yeah.
So here's something. There's a thing now called the Humans of Hestaband.
Amazing. Okay, tell me. Okay.
So, you know, Kinesiology began with humans, right? And it was, you know, inevitable that it would translate down into the animal veterinary world. Hestaband is going the other way.
Oh, cool.
So what happened was, it started out that the horseback riders fell off, or they got kicked, or they'd be like, "I'll grab my horse tape."
Yeah.
And so now I have a whole bunch of people that are part of the Humans of Hestaband. And so in running with that, we've just joined forces with Acadia University, and we're doing human trials. Yeah. Yeah. So because they come back again with that feedback that this tape works better. Satin I can wear in the shower. I can swim with it on. I can sweat with it on. I can train with it on. I'm not just a horseback rider. I'm a runner. My son plays soccer, so I put it on him. My husband had a knee replacement. I put it on him, you know, to decrease the swelling. So
I'm just having knee replacement. So I'm like,
oh, really?
yes.
Oh,
Maybe I should. Maybe I can connect you guys.
Right?
I know that's
Yeah.
because she's in New Glasgow, and she's, yeah.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My husband, 10 days post-op, had zero bruising, zero swelling. 10 days. The surgeon was like, what is going on here?
I need to connect you because she's had a really rough go. It's her second knee replacement surgery. And just in the last couple of days, she's feeling okay, but she was having a really hard time with pain management. And she wasn't sleeping, and she was really nauseous from the pain.
They probably have the same surgeon.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it one bit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
I have an orthopedic surgeon in another country that orders all the time. And I want to ask, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like, tell me I don't know if they have horses or they don't. Yeah. Frequent buyer.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure it could be a combination. I feel like once word gets out that a product works and is doing what you need it to do, that's incredible. And I have hypermobility, and little Tigger has had some back issues. What has gotten into you today? And I feel like I'm obviously super interested in learning more about it for the horses, but as you're saying this, I'm like, ooh, I kind of want it for myself because I'm always struggling with skeletal alignment issues and my tailbone. I have ribs that go out all the time. The vertebrae right underneath kind of the base of my skull goes out all the time. Contemplating all the different ways I could take myself as I'm listening to you.
Yeah.
So
and we
really
take dogs. And flamingos and gophers and like goats and sheep. Like, it's really becoming, I have one taper in the UK, and she only tapes cattle, udders and show cattle. And I have another one in the States that she only does show sheep.
Wow.
It's really just more like, it's not just horse tape now. It's kind of going into other species and other avenues. Like, I truly could have never, ever guessed this. It's so exciting. And I'll get people, and I had a little, a goat that needed to be taped there a little while ago. So, she was from the States. She sent me some videos. I'm like, okay, we'll do this, this, and this. And she sent me the videos of the goat bounced around with this orange satin tape. Oh, it was so great. So that's what keeps me going too,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is it going to cure everything? No. But if we can, even with older dogs, if we can make the quality of life, or, other older animals, their quality of life a little bit better, and that they're not as sore, not as stiff, like, why wouldn't we use just a piece of tape?
Yes. Yeah. To make something that's healing so accessible
Mhm.
is really, really incredible. And no, nothing's going to cure everything.
Mhm.
That's just the reality. Massage,
Yeah.
chiro, surgery, you name it.
Yeah.
There's no practice out there that cures everything, but to have just a piece of tape once you learn how to use it and how to think independently about the different ways in which it can be applied, and have professionals who can aid you in that, by coming for an appointment, but that we can actively make a difference in our animals' comfort or our own in between professional visits and other things. It's really incredible. So thank you so much for coming today. I really appreciate you squeezing in time for a visit. And it warms my heart to meet somebody from my hometown and just to be able to connect.
She lived 10 minutes from where I am. Maybe a little bit 15, 20, but pretty close.
Really close. And both like very small towns and kind of rural Nova Scotia, which is incredible. Yeah, it was definitely meant to be. I'm so pleased.
Thank you for making time for me too. I really appreciate that.
Oh, pleasure. It's been great. Well, and there will be more to come. So for you guys, I want you to listen. We will be announcing when we can do this taping course for horse owners, because I think that's certainly something that I want to participate in. And I feel like a lot of the people a lot of our listeners and a lot of the people that I see for saddle fittings would be really interested in learning how they can help their horses too.
And it's a no stress course. It's just really, really fun, right? I mean, there's no point in having that. We're already stressed enough about our horses. So the eating, the course is really fun, but you'll come away with a true skill set that you wouldn't have had.
Wonderful. Well, thanks again. I really appreciate you being here. And thank you all for listening. And as always, until next time, stay curious, stay unbridled, and we will see you on the next episode. Bye.
See ya.